I haven't talked to Jack. And I haven't seen Ed in several years, and I haven't talked to Jackie since COVID started. So Ed used to be one of the managers where I work.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm glad they were able to make it. Hi, guys.
Okay, I'm going to pretend like you're not all here watching, and I'm just talking to Sonja.
Sounds fair.
How about a 5-minute overview of yourself, a little bit about yourself?
Oh gosh, that always brings me up on 5 minutes. I could talk for hours.
I know, that's why I said 5 minutes.
I know, I agree. I feel like I need to set my timer. And I think I might actually, because that's always funny to me. I always think I don't have enough time. So I'm 62. I have been morbidly obese my entire life. When I look back on my teenage years and my elementary school years, I don't feel morbidly obese, but in relation to everyone else in my class, I was heavy, and I felt ostracized and out there for all sorts of reasons. I felt weird, and so I grew up with that. I was an accomplished professional in telecom. I owned my own business before that. I had my own painting contracting company for almost 20 years. I have a very strong background in management, project management, and Six Sigma background, which basically, I think you know what I'm talking about when I say that. Others may not. It basically is a way to look at a situation and try and improve it in a lot of different levels and a lot of different ways, down from the ground up. And it's a process that is well touted in the business community, and I'm really good at it, which I think is one of the reasons that I kind of grappled with this whole health thing. I was diagnosed type 2 diabetes and high cholesterol in November of 2016. And until that time, I was super healthy. I had a thyroid condition and nothing else. Other than, I had really bad asthma. I had other things, but those were not considered, I don't know. They were manageable. This one I was not interested in. Type 2 diabetes to me felt like I just failed my body, which I know is wrong, but I felt that. And I knew that if I made changes to my food and movement, that it was going to make a difference for me. And so I decided that day. I was paleo for several years because I'd healed my asthma 10 years earlier than that. So I was paleo for all sorts of reasons. And I went strict vegan, no sugar. I was already gluten-free from my asthma days. So I knew I could make changes to my food. I just have never been able to lose the weight. And I wasn't expecting to lose the weight. But all of a sudden I lost like 50 pounds, but then the weight just stopped. It was frozen there. And I didn't know what was wrong. And my type 2 hadn't changed and my cholesterol didn't improve. It actually got worse. I'd lost 50 pounds, but I was more interested in changing my health. And Bright Line Eating got dropped into my lap. And I was like, whoa, this makes sense. And then I read the science, Joni. Oh my God, the science. All of a sudden, I'm not crazy. Okay, I am crazy, but I have a reason why I'm crazy. I have a reason. And it's my brain. I just happen to have been, they threw the dice when I was born and they gave me that crap, that crazy brain crap where I'm really highly, highly susceptible to sugar and flour. That from that day on, I made a strict commitment. And not only did the type 2 diabetes completely turn around and the high cholesterol I went from 360 to 155, crazy. But I started losing weight. And more importantly, I felt peace for the first time around food. In that process since then, that was November of 2016. When I found Bright Line Eating, it was May of 2017. And I released 170 pounds. I've kept it off. I've had a lot of food challenges. I have a minute left. I have a lot of food challenges, like gluten. I can't, I won't, I can't touch it. It makes my body inflamed. I was nightshades problems. That's tomatoes and peppers and eggplant and potatoes. God bless me, I love my potatoes. But I haven't done any of that since because it felt bad until recently. Like I said, I've made changes to my food multiple times to try and fix things and solve things. So I have a PhD in me, Joni, and I know a lot about food and what food can and can't do for us, and how important it is to eat those foods that nurture our bodies. Eat them to nurture. For that's what food is for. It's not to make us happy. It's not to make us feel better. It's not to celebrate. It's not any of those things. It's not a treat. And I'm really clear that my choices now allow me to do all sorts of things. I have a huge list, and there's my timer. I have a huge list of non-scale victories, and I'm so, so, so happy because those are my treats. Those are my treats. Okay, that's me, Joan.
Oh, you did good. I don't want to pressure you with a time thing for the rest of this. It's supposed to be fun. Maybe even a little funny, maybe if we're lucky. What do you like to do on a rainy day?
I like to walk in the rain. I like to walk in the rain. I like to feel the rain on my body. I live in the Pacific Northwest, which means it rains a lot, but it doesn't rain like it rains in like New York City, for instance, where there's buckets and buckets and downpours. I like to walk in the rain. I also like to put my feet up and binge on some really, really fun action movie.
What luxury is totally worth the price?
I'll tell you what, I several years ago, whenever it was touted with Ari Whitten, I bought an infrared sauna. I can't say enough about the benefits of it. I get cold to my bones sometimes because of all the weight I've released, and that sauna is an incredible luxury. I'm kind of embarrassed to talk about it because it sits in my garage and it's mine and I love it. And I turn it on, I set it up. Oh, yes, that's my luxury.
What's the weirdest experience you have ever had?
Oh, God. Okay. So you all know that I was dating and I have been dating. I had connected with this guy that I thought was brilliant. He was a civil engineer. He had his own company. I even did some, checking to check LinkedIn, and he was real. And he was doing some renovations to an oil rig down in the Gulf. And he was living in Seattle, and we hadn't connected yet because he was in the Gulf. We talked every day. We Zoomed regularly. There was all sorts of reasons why I trusted that he was real. Honestly, there's so much catfishing out there. I can't say enough about the number of people who have pretended to be real that aren't. This guy gave me the benefit of something I've never felt before. And I'm not talking about love, although I really thought he was pretty cool and I was really enjoying my conversations with him. He called me one day and he said, I need to ask you a favor. He said, my supplier needs a credit card right now, and I don't have the $3,500, but I'll have it at the end of the week. I need you to send him your credit card information and pay for it, $3,500. I said to him, I said, can you repeat that, please? And he did. He did. Oh yeah, I just need you to send me $3,500. And then like I didn't say anything, and he goes, well, we don't have to tell anybody. And I started laughing. I said, I need you to hear this really clearly. Are you listening to me? I need you to hear that I, under no circumstances, will send you $1, let alone $3,500. No, not on any circumstances, on any planet, in any stratosphere will I send you $3,500. I felt such disgust, and it was the first time I felt disgust. One of the things with cleaning up our food and getting rid of food as a reason to numb ourselves is that we get to feel all our feels. And I'd never felt disgust before, but boy, did I feel it that day. That was really weird. That was really weird. Yeah, I've got a lot of dating stories, but that one took the cake.
Thank you. It sounded exactly like a guy that I had a friend fight and send money and be ripped
Oh,
off. And it was like the same, such a similar story. Yes, weird and horrid and disgusting.
yeah.
So what's one thing you own that you should throw out?
Oh my God. 90% of what's in my garage right now. I have too many monitors, but I couldn't throw them away. That's the biggest problem with me. I have huge recycling issues. Huge recycling issues.
But you like to do the garbage on Tuesdays to put it out.
I
Why don't you
do.
just take a little bit each Tuesday?
I could, but of course you're not supposed to throw away electronics. You have to recycle them or take them to the, yeah, yeah.
Have you ever met anyone famous?
I'm a huge New York City fan. Huge. Broadway is a thing. I've met two famous people. One was I had third row seats for Sweeney Todd, if anyone knows anything, and Angela Lansbury and Len Cariou were the leads. Oh my God, amazing! And I was sitting on the aisle seat of the third row, and these two little old ladies, and at that time I wasn't. These two little old ladies were walking down the aisle to try to, as the applause standing up, and who walks down the aisle but oh God, now I'm forgetting his name. The guy that was Mork of Mork and Mindy's Jonathan Winters.
Oh,
Jonathan Winters. Okay, you have to be old to know who he is. Hilarious comedian. Jonathan Winters ran smack dab into these two little old ladies getting out, and he was right there, and he was so sweet and so apologetic. He almost knocked them over, but he was trying to get out before, the crowds came and, mobbed him. The other one, I was at Universal Studios, and my girls had Pretty in Pink on constant, VCR, constant, Pretty in Pink. And the guy that plays Ducky, I can't think of his name now. John, he was also in Boys to Men.
I know who you mean, and I don't remember his name.
Anyway.
On NCIS.
Yes, he was standing there getting ready to go to Universal. I think that's where they were filming something. And my girls came up to him, and he was a jerk, and he wouldn't take a picture with them. So they were forever. Ducky was never the same. So those are my two famous people.
Thank you. When have you been most satisfied in your life?
Oh, after a really big salad.
What do
A
you
lot
put
of
in
times,
there?
a lot of times I feel very deeply now. And I love that. I feel very satisfied a lot. Like this call, I'm feeling very satisfied. Thank you.
I was going to ask you what you put in your big salad.
Oh gosh. So I'm on this big, do at least 40 different vegetables and fruit in a month thing right now to help my gut biome and to help improve all of the stuff that's going on. It's like candy for your gut biome, right? And so right now I'm doing daikon radishes, which are those purple radishes that have the really beautiful centers when you slice them. I've got 3 different other kinds of radishes. We've got tons of baby peppers in the garden and big bell peppers coming out of the garden. Cucumbers are out of the garden, zucchini. Sunchokes is a really fun one. Sunchokes is we don't have those in our garden, but they're a nut from I think it's a tuber from sunflowers, but I'm not sure. It's called sunchokes, and you can get them for sure they're not always available, but you can get them in different places. I love my my protein source as my dressing. So I will use right now I'm currently on a kick of almonds, hemp hearts, some sort of a champagne vinegar, yeast, not brewers yeast, nutritional yeast, and onion and garlic. Yeah, that's it. And some water. I use one of those ninja blenders to make my dressing. Oh, and we cannot forget. So since I've been on this new kick, I'm able to eat all sorts of raw foods, and I can now eat nightshades. So I have like 60 different types of tomatoes. The more tomatoes, the better.
There's stuff I've never tried on your list. I am putting them on mine.
Broccoli slaw, you can have cauliflower rice, all of that can be raw. Yeah, there's tons of stuff out there. Carrots, tons of stuff.
So do you collect anything?
For a long time, I collected Beanie Babies. I still have like 3 tubs of Beanie Babies out in. At 2001, they decided to stop them, and it stopped everybody from collecting. And now they're not worth a thing. I've got like an original Princess Di Beanie Baby, and oh my goodness, I've got so many. Yeah,
Could
several
that
Jerry
possibly-
Garcia piece babies. Yeah,
Maybe something you could think to throw out.
I can't imagine. I just worked so hard. That's the problem. I worked so hard to get them. I worked so hard to collect them. I can't. I don't know. I don't know what I would do. Oh, Joni, don't make me do that.
No, I'm not going to make you do anything. That was just a question. Who inspires you?
Ah, you do.
Oh, thank you.
So many
I-
people. So many
Yes.
people inspire me. Some of the major figures, Michelle Obama is a huge, I love her attitude about things. I also love Brene Brown. Some of the books that we're reading, I'm really inspired by. Mostly so many people that I'm so impressed with, that come from really challenging situations and do hard things. I'm so inspired by people like that do hard things. I know how hard they're working, and I'm so impressed with them. Every single person on this call inspires me. And that's not brown nosing, I promise. It's true.
Are you more likely to avoid conflict or face it head on?
Oh, God, it so depends on the situation. I really like talking about the elephant in the room. If there's something going on that I sense is a thing, I think that's what makes me such a good coach, because I will bring up the thing that people just don't want to talk about in the moment. But the minute you bring it up, the air is just dissipated. It's like the balloon is released, and now the air is cleared. So yeah, and I'm generally not as good at protecting my own self, which is why I work really hard on boundaries. I'm generally not as good about confrontation if it has to do with me telling someone else that that whatever they're doing isn't working for me. That's challenging. So,
A little of both.
yep.
What do you keep under your bed?
So if anyone knows me, I adopted, rescued Doug. He rescued me, actually. He's a pit bull, and he's fear aggressive, and he loves his balls. So anytime I get down on my hands and knees and look under my bed, there's at least 20 balls under there. I bought probably, 80 or 100 balls over the last year plus to help him in the yard, to do runs and to chase. But he brings them into my bedroom, and they invariably end up under my bed. So aside from quite a number of dust bunnies, there's this really long, I have vaulted ceilings in my living room. So there's this really long hook that I use to hang plants on. And that also sits under my bed. I've got several of them, and that one sits under my bed so that I can grab and occasionally just do a sweep under my bed and pull the balls out. And he just has a great time.
If you could have an unlimited supply of anything in your life, what would it be?
Time.
Time.
Mhm.
Can't do that.
I know.
Hey, if I had a magic wand,
You have a pretty magical wand, my friend. But yes, that's the first thing that came to my mind. Unlimited supply of fresh fruit and vegetables. That would be heaven for me. That's why I started Bright Line Eating when I was down in Southern California. And to me, that's heaven, to go into a Whole Foods and just drool over the bright, brilliant mecca of vegetables. Yeah, that was always available.
we'll work on that for you.
Sounds good.
If you got arrested without explanation, what would your friends think you had done?
Protest for sure. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know which one. I think it's Frankie. I feel like Frankie and Grace a lot. I get really righteously indignant a lot about things. And if you know the show at all, I feel like Frankie a lot. And I just went to the Women's March this weekend. And I was so proud of myself for being able to do that. The first Women's March, I was unable to. I was too heavy. I couldn't do it. I couldn't walk. My knees. I couldn't walk upstairs. And now I can run a half marathon. Okay, I probably won't run another one, but I've done it.
What were they protesting?
This one was on women's rights, women's bodies, my desire to make my own choices, and the choices I think are terribly important. And I apologize if I'm offending anyone, but that is for me the importance of it. If we could get rid of the need to decide whether or not a woman needs an abortion, I would much rather hit the nail on the head at the beginning of the problem. Let's figure out how to stop the need for abortions. That's what I would like to have. But in the meantime, that's what we were protesting on Saturday.
Thank you. Are you no, I was going to ask you if you were a morning person or a night owl. I hope you're not a night owl. I hope that's not how you identify. You who gets up for a 4:30 meeting every day.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I started a membership group called Where the Magic Happens. And in starting that group, one of the things I felt really important about was connection and community. And the only way I could think to make sure that we were on regular community was to have regular calls, Zoom calls like this, 30-minute calls. And so I set them up for 4:30 a.m. Pacific. God bless me. I've been getting up Monday through Friday at 4:15 since June 26th or something of last year. So yeah, I have always been a morning person. Yeah, absolutely.
Which book or movie do you wish you could experience again for the first time?
Oh gosh, there's so many good books out there. So I love the Elizabeth Peters series. Amelia Peabody is Elizabeth is the author. Amelia Peabody is the detective. And she plays an archaeologist in the 1800s, and she's just a spitfire in the 1800s, not interested in getting married. Totally. It's a wonderful series. And I would love to experience it again for the first time. There's like 20 some books. The Gamache series is really, really good. Agatha Christie, Niall Marsh has a wonderful collection as well. Any of those, because once you read a detective novel, you always know who did it, and you can appreciate it again for its lyricism and its creativity, but you can't really ever undo. Yeah, you know who did it. You know who did it. So.
What I didn't ask you, how long do I have to keep asking you things?
Well, we have another call in 30
4.
minutes with the magic. So, yep. There you go. You got 33 minutes according to my clock.
I don't know if I have 33 minutes worth of questions, but we'll work on this. If aliens landed on Earth tomorrow and offered to take you with them, would
Yes,
you go?
absolutely. 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 What an adventure. Yeah, I love action movies. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. I envision myself as being one of the crew on the Guardians of the Galaxy or any of those other. I'm not a huge sci-fi reading fan, but I love the science fiction movies that are out there that yeah, that would be awesome. I don't believe that any person on the planet is a bad person. I think they might have had things that have happened to them, traumas that have happened to them that have made them show up a different way than I would appreciate. But I also believe that there's so much life out there in this universe, and I would love to see it. Yes, thank you.
If you could trade places with another person for a week, living or dead, real or fictional, who would it be?
Oh God. Oh, I would like to trade places with Justice Roberts for a week. I would change everything that's going on there right now in the Supreme Court. And I would make new rules, and I would make everyone sign something that says, yes, we're going to follow these rules going forward. I could get a lot done in a week, I'm pretty sure. Yep, that would be it. Chief Justice Roberts.
If you ran away and joined the circus, what would be your act?
Well, it would have to be the trapeze for sure. Although I'm pretty terrified of heights. But and I can tell you that story too. That's pretty funny. But my when I want to say I was 12, I might have been 13. I don't know. It was around 8th grade when the Olympics were happening for me. I was that age. And I was confident that that I was never going to amount to anything, because here was Nadia Comaneci getting 10s, and she was 12 years old, and she'd already done heads and tails above. I felt like I could never accomplish anything. So I decided, well, maybe if I join the circus, then I will learn something organically, and I will amount to something that I could actually create something or do something. Yeah, that would be it would have to be the trapeze. Although here's my here's my fear of heights in full action. So I took my kids to the Grand Canyon just a few years ago. And there's a glass bridge that goes out. If you Google it, you'll see what I'm talking about. I think Google is still working, but not Facebook right now. But if it goes like a big circle out over the Grand Canyon. It's incredible. And it's glass. The floor is glass or plastic. Doesn't matter. Point is, you can see right through it. I got on that thing. My kids were like dancing and running around and having a good old time. I got down on my hands and knees. I could not. And I had to crawl across that thing. I was determined to do it, but I was terrified. Oh my God. I was just terrified. And I didn't care what anybody else thought, but I'll tell you what, I wasn't alone. I wasn't alone. It is really something. Yeah. That's my fear of heights.
In your opinion, what is the worst job?
Oh God. Well, I've never seen the show, Dirty Jobs or whatever it's called. But for a long time, I was in charge of the construction for telecom. I worked for AT&T. I was an AT&T vendor. I worked for a couple of different companies, but I was in charge of the guys that climb the towers and bring the microwave dishes up, or bring the big or reposition or do maintenance on the towers. And the areas that I was mostly working in were Kansas and Colorado and Washington State. So all of those have really high towers. Kansas has high towers. They're guide towers with the wire stanchions that hold them in place. And then Colorado and Washington have them because they've got such tall trees. And so these guys would climb a 400-foot tower with nothing. And I was in charge of safety. And so to me, the worst job is climbing those towers. To them, it was the best job. They had, they were like cowboys. But to me, again, with my fear of heights, but to me, that was probably the worst job. And then cleaning out my chicken coop. That's also a really not so fun job.
You don't have to be a lineman, but you probably do have to clean out your chicken coop. Can't you get your girls to do it?
Yeah, they do actually mostly, but when they're on vacation or when I'm being magnanimous. Yeah.
What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?
Boy, that's a tough one, Joni. It's the reason I don't push forward on a lot of things. It's the reason I'm 62 and finally living my dreams, because I spent an awful lot. When I was 5 years old, I won a statewide competition for piano. 5 years old. They had to put 3 different pads underneath me for me to reach the keys, and then I couldn't reach the pedals. So, but I won a state competition in Minnesota. And afterward, my grandmother was so proud of me. And she said to me, Sonja, think about what you're going to do with your life now. Think about all the competitions you're going to win. Terrified me, Joni, terrified me. I was going to let my grandma down. So guess who stopped playing piano? Yeah, I spent a long time with a lot of fear, not of failure. I was afraid of success. I was afraid that if I couldn't, satisfy my grandma well enough, I wasn't even going to try. So it's taken me an awful lot to get past that. So if there was nothing that I'm doing it now, Joni. I'm living that dream. I decided to go into business for myself, and I decided I have a message that needs to get out there, and I'm figuring out 16 ways to Sunday to get it out there. I know that I can help people, and I know that I can make a difference for a lot of people. And that's why I feel like that fear is gone. I'm telling you, Joni, when you eat, this is like pervasive. It's crazy. Every time you eat to feed your soul and your body, every time you eat a nutritionally supported meal, you build confidence. It's a little muscle that gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it ekes out in everything. It ekes out in everything. Oh, do it for yourself. Do it for yourself, because it will impact everything in your life.
So what is your favorite action movie?
Guardians of the Galaxy, because I watched it with my nephew and we still smile about it. John Wick, because I watched it with my nephew and we still smile about it. And Die Hard, because I watched it with my kids and we still laugh about it. That's probably a good representation. Not because of the movies, but because of the company.
Flat or sparkling?
Sparkling.
I asked that to someone and they didn't know what I was talking about.
That's cute. That's cute.
You knew.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most used app on your phone?
Oh, God. Any stupid game. Twitter, Facebook. Yeah. Yeah. Messages, text messages. I'm on it way too much.
It seems to me that the end of the world is coming because I couldn't do Facebook today.
I think that's why we have so many people here today.
What skill would you like to improve on?
Oh, oh. I'd like to improve my tech skills in general. I'd like to already know how to do all of the things I need. Like Canva is a great media tool that helps with, with billboards and things. And I'd love to know my newsletter stuff better, faster. I'd love to have better tech skills for sure.
I'm just seeing if I can find something I haven't asked you. Did you ever have an imaginary friend?
I didn't. And I was sad a lot because I didn't. I would read stories about people that had imaginary friends, and I'd always try to conjure one up and it didn't work. And now I have all these wonderful parts. I have all these really great, really, and they were there all the time and I didn't know how to access them. I also always wanted a nickname and I never had that either. I always felt like I was always trying to think of one that would be fun, and it doesn't work if you give your own nickname, if you give yourself your own nickname. So now I have lots of imaginary friends. I have Phil. We could eat up tons of time talking about my parts. You want to talk about my parts, Joni?
You can talk about your parts for a while.
Okay. So the first part I found because I was having this bloated stomach and I could not figure out what was going on. And I was in this parts group with Barbara Kramen-Kahn, Sandy Engbretson, and Carol Stroud. The four of us joined the Freedom class early on, and Barbara, God bless her, insisted that we form a group, and she pulled me in and I pulled Sandy in, and then Sandy pulled Carol in. So the four of us had been doing parts work for just a short while. And this was my first parts work session with Barbara. And I said, well, I'm having this really bloated stomach. I don't know what's going on about it. I don't understand it. And honestly, people, parts can impact our physical as well. So we were like, okay, well, let's try this. I'm like, sure, we should bite off the big kahuna first. Okay. So we sat for a minute, and the first thing I saw was, do you guys know the Mucinex man? Okay. Big glob of gooey snot, right? That's what I saw sitting on my bed. And he said, hi, my name's Phil. Okay, I didn't think I could conjure up anything. I've never felt terribly creative. I've never felt, my grandmother was a China painter. My daughter is an incredible artist. Both of them are. And I could never feel like I could be, but here is this big glob of snot, which is not normal. Most people conjure up a person, right? A little person anyway, I got Phil. And so Barbara says, well, what does he do for you? And I said, well, let's ask. And so Phil goes, oh, I generate excess mucus. Thank you very much. And if you know me, you know that I spent my entire life on asthma medication, allergy medication. I spent every summer in Minnesota in front of the air conditioner to try to clear up my sinuses. Of course, now I know that's probably the worst place to be, but neither here nor there now. And he said, well, the reason that I gave you excess mucus was because when you were 18 months old, you were hospitalized for a gluten allergy. And all of a sudden, everyone's paying attention to you. And every time you got sick or every time you had a physical issue like that, then, oh, Phil comes to the rescue. And he goes, well, now people are coming around. People are loving you and supporting you. I was a really independent. I was the oldest and the only girl. And, my mom had 4 kids in 5 years, and I took on a lot of responsibilities quick when my parents got divorced, all this kind of good stuff. And so Phil's telling me this story, and I'm like, yeah, but I've actually noticed, Phil, that I've had to go down. I used to take 2 Allegra and 2 Zyrtec every day. And I was down to just 1 Zyrtec. He goes, yeah, well, you've had so much community. every single person on this call is part of my community and has been. I have had so much connection ever since I started Brightline Eating. And he said, we just haven't needed to add any mucus. You're good. Like, really? He was, and so Barbara says, ask him where he lives. Well, I live in your stomach, he says. I said, okay, well, that might explain the bloating. Said, is there any place else you could live? I said, I'm really fine with you. He was cute at this point. He was he was growing on me. I said, you can cuddle around my heart if you'd like. And he goes, oh, I'd like that. And the second he said that, it felt like my stomach had shrunk like 2 inches. The bloating had subsided, not completely, but the bloating was definitely lessened. It was weird. It was weird. And we figured out we need to have Phil running with me. He wants to hear classical music. He said, the reason I like classical music is, by the way, my name is short for Philharmonic. And that just blew my mind, Joni. That just blew my mind, because my mother is an opera singer and my dad is a ballet dancer. And all I heard growing up was the Philharmonic Orchestra, ballet music, or opera music, all this really cool music. And now Phil and I listen to arias while I run. I listen to, he really doesn't care what I do, but if I sing in the morning, it makes him happy. And so that's my front loading joy, is because of Phil. I believe very strongly that singing and opening up your heart and your vagus nerve and activating all of that beautiful lung space in the morning is one of the best things you can do for yourself. And Phil helps me with that.
So I have 2 final questions.
Mm-hmm.
First one, what's on the list of your future goals?
I want to do a bunch of travel. I want to travel to Thailand and Vietnam and Russia and Norway again. My brother lives there. I want to travel.
Nice goals.
Mm-hmm.
May we be able to travel again.
Yes.
And the final one, could you offer some words of advice or encouragement to the people on the
call? Oh, first of all, you're here. You're showing up. Pay attention and simply notice. It's the first step in everything. It's the first step in making a change. It's the first step in correcting a direction, in shifting a perspective, in reorganizing. Simply notice and catch a call. Get on one of my magic calls and just be present and bask in the sweetness that is connection. It's the antidote. It's the antidote for addiction. Connection, trusted connection is the antidote. And look at this beautiful woman. Who wouldn't trust her? Who wouldn't trust this beautiful woman?
Thank you. Thank you for playing. I enjoy listening to the interviews that you've been doing with other people. And it was this little voice said, you need to do some fun interviews. So I hope this was fun for you and for the people watching. And I'm willing to do more. And I know a couple of people have stepped up that'd be willing to play. It's just such a fun way to spend an hour or 45 minutes. And I am so grateful that you, Sonja, were willing and embraced the idea, and it fun. Hope to see you guys again soon, someplace on the magic.
I'm gonna unpin us or unspotlight us for a minute. Okay. And firstly, I want to say thank you, Joni, for embracing the fun and for making this a really fun experience for me. I really appreciate you. And I'm really excited. And I can tell everybody here, I will be putting up the interviews. Excuse me, this interview will go into Beyond Your Weight Loss Roller Coaster. It will also go in Where the Magic Happens. And I'm going to put it in my Transform with Sonja YouTube channel. So it will rest there as well. There's already 2 interviews there from me, Rahila's, and Mary Jo's. Interviews are already on that channel, and they're already posted. If you have trouble finding them, message me. And I want to thank you, Joni. You've already done an interview with a couple of people, and I'm going to put those up in the next few days so that everybody can enjoy them. And if you want to be interviewed by Joni, Joni's actual name is Joan Riley on Facebook. God bless us. Hopefully it's going to come back, because otherwise I'll have to, come up with some other alternative, and I don't even want to try that. That's exhausting. I'm considering this a day of relaxing, a day off, if you will. But I really appreciate you, Joni. Thank you so much. I'm going to unpin us now, unspotlight us, or whatever it is. Remove spotlight. Remove spotlight. All right. And does anybody have anything for the good of the order before we go? Anything you want to share? Anything you want to say? Any questions that are just you're dying to ask and I haven't answered them?
I would love feedback. How, as someone watching, how that feels.
Go ahead, Tommy.
Joni, I loved your questions. They were fabulous. I thought they were so exciting, and just makes your head go like woo 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 when you're thinking about it internally. Like, how would I answer that? And I loved Sonja's answer. So it was so spontaneous. It was so fun. I was hoping she would throw in what's your favorite word and what's your favorite curse word.
I'm writing those down.
A la James Lipton. The actor.
That's a great one. My favorite word it probably is nuanced. I love saying it, nuanced. And my favorite curse word, God, there's so many. And yeah. And honestly, I don't know if this like fits technically, but if you know what it means, it will fit. Mofo. Because that to me is the badassery that we all are. I love mofo. That's my favorite. So thanks for asking, Tommy.
Yeah, thanks, Tommy.
Is James Lipton still alive?
I don't know who James Lipton is.
He does all of these really great, really interesting interviews with famous people. Google James Lipton YouTube. He's really wonderful. I forget the name of his show, but
The Actor's Studio.
That's it.
I feel like he asks the same questions always. So people go in. I mean, he has a set of questions that he always asks. But yeah, it's always interesting.
I stole these questions from YouTube, from different people on YouTube. Maybe a couple of them I made up, but mostly I just stole them. And the idea, I'd love to watch interviews, several people that I'd like to watch. I'll be adding James Lipton. Just fun for me.
Absolutely. Well, I had a good time. I knew I was going to, but I had a really good time. And I really appreciate you all spending the hour with us. And if there's anything else for the good of the order. All right. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, Joni.
Thank you. That was fun.
Standing ovation for you, my dear. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
For you too. It would be nothing without your answers.
Well, I really had fun. It was a blast. Have a great day, everybody.
Okay.